How's it going, everybody? This is BeatTheBush. Today, I'm going to talk about materialism and how you can get away from it. People oftentimes can force themselves to not buy certain things, but today I want to concentrate on how to make yourself not even want to buy those things in the first place, even if you have the money. Why am I recording this video? It's truly from a passion point of view. For the past few weeks, I've been thinking about this topic and just sort of thinking about how I can solve this problem. Looking at the hoard of stuff that I have in my home right now, I thought back in time about how I often would just buy one thing after another, and the transition to who I am today where I buy a lot less things. Even with the minimal amount of things that I buy these days, I still wonder what the thought process is. How did I get coerced into buying such a thing versus another item? Excessive consumerism is likely not good for the planet, and for someone that actually lived their life with a lot of excess, I really question the fact that after they lived this full life with a lot of stuff, does it really matter that they had all this stuff? What actually do matter? Therefore, I'm thinking, well, maybe consumerism is just kind of spinning your wheel. You're not really doing anything productive. I find that excessive consumerism could be a problem that could be solved. I found this quote from Adam Smith, and I thought it was very thought-provoking, and it's also very telling on our consumer habits. He argued that poverty is the inability to afford, quotes, not only the commodities which are indispensably necessary for the support of life, but whatever the custom of the country renders it indecent for credible people, even of the lowest order, to be without. Now, let me just reiterate what is necessary for the support of life: food, water, shelter, and also warmth. In other words, clothing. Food does not necessarily have to be very fancy, as long as it meets your nutrient requirements, which could come in the form of something very basic, which we are not normally used to. Now, if you go into a first world country, the list increases a lot more. For example, we've come to expect to have running water, electricity, natural gas, cell phone service, internet, healthcare, trash service, cars, car insurance, and gasoline. A group of doctor friends might look at another one that did not have maid service if they go over to their home and then go, "What is this? This is like savage, right? You don't have a maid here to help with the dishes? This is crazy." Another example is in the US, we've grown accustomed to having a car. Almost every single household has a car, and if you're in the more affluent type of communities, then almost every single person has their own car. If you move into the Asian countries or highly densely populated areas, they might not even have a car. So a car never even enters the equation. People do not expect you to have a car. People don't look at a car as a status symbol anymore. Now, as a modern person that likes to be socially included, there are certain things you also need to buy for social inclusion. Examples are having a phone so that people can contact you, because sometimes these days you can no longer contact people via a landline or anything. You absolutely must have a phone. So even for people in the low income, people have come to expect to have at minimum a cell phone. Even if you are on food stamps, even if you're just scraping by, people still have a cell phone. It's considered one of the necessities. For social inclusion, you also need to dress appropriately. If you happen to dress really weird, really weird colors, really weird styles or something, then you cannot hang around with the same group of people. You're going to be looked upon as like a weirdo, and they're not going to want to hang out with you because you stick out like a sore thumb. If you happen to hang around with, higher end people where they, dress in name brand stuff all the time, if you personally don't dress similar to the people that you hang out with, well, you're not going to be included. In order to have social inclusion, it's also important to have enough money to go do the activities with your peers that does the same thing. For example, if you have a bunch of friends that, maybe they are kind of spendy type of people and they want to go on all these fancy vacations, then every single time you go, you're going to have to, put out enough money in order to buy your flight there, pay for your portion of this activity where you happen to be traveling somewhere very fancy. Something I want to mention that's very interesting is that, let's say 50 years ago, you have someone on the edge of poverty and they're living very little and they feel like they're very poor. If you suddenly can transport this person to today and they are also living on poverty, they're probably going to feel a lot richer. Now, this is very interesting to me because feeling poor is a consequence of your surroundings, is who you compare yourself to that's right next to you. This can only mean that as a result of our surroundings, our mind is the thing that causes us to feel poor. this means. And I'm not saying that I can do that myself, but if your bodily needs are met, for example, you have enough food, shelter, and warmth, then the rest of the feeling about ourselves is fully in our mind. So let's say you're in prison and you are fed, you have warmth and you have shelter, there's no rain on you, you're in a cell or something. Then strictly from a mind, if your mind is powerful enough, you can still feel happy about yourself, even in this dire state. Now, I'm not saying that I personally am capable of this, but it would be very cool that if someday I am. I'll give two examples where I do away with something and other people think that it's completely unimaginable. And also an example where I still am using certain things. And I personally cannot imagine doing away with it because it's unimaginable to me. In other words, my standard of living has gone up high enough that I absolutely must require this for one reason or another. My mind is trapped in, thinking that this is absolutely the standard. If I live below this standard, then I'm depriving myself. The first example where I've done without is trash bags. Other people would look at this and then go, oh my gosh, I cannot believe trash bags are so cheap. How come you don't just buy it? They're like $5 and you get 100 of them. Well, for me, I just use the grocery trash bags and it's no big deal. I still have the same equivalent thing. I can still throw away trash and stuff, but other people have grown so accustomed to buying trash bags that it is sort of like a basis of life. It's always there. They're always going to buy it. Once you get into this stage, you have essentially conditioned your mind to absolutely need a certain item. If you happen to not have this item, I can imagine that if you're so used to having trash bag and suddenly one day I just take it away and all of a sudden you have to, use some other method, you're going to start feeling like you're depriving yourself of something. Now on to things that I actually cannot do without. I regret that I cannot because I absolutely need these things. For example, I need my computer to edit these videos. I need the internet to upload these videos. I need expensive camera gear. This camera that you're looking at me through, and also a cell phone and the corresponding service because I've grown so accustomed to going every which way, and if I'm lost or anything, I can just use GPS. I can use any kind of directory service and find out, what is interesting near me. I've grown so used to being able to access information in such a quick manner, so it's become a part of me. And if I take it away, I'm gonna feel very burdened because I'm so used to this advancement of technology, of accessing information so quickly and not wasting my time just walking everywhere. So it is an increase of standard of living for me. Now, finally, I talk about consumerism and how, you should not buy as many things as you think you need. And if you do this, you kind of take the load off of yourself and kind of save your resources for better things. But the question here is how we can change our perspective so that we do not want those things in the first place. Because if you're depriving yourself, if you're forcing yourself, that's not fun at all. You want to change your mind. You want to alter the way you think about the world so that you do not want those things in the first place. So therefore, you're not depriving yourself. Therefore, you're feeling good about yourself. First, know that it is our minds. Everything is in here that is causing us to feel pity for ourselves. It is what is causing us to feel bad, for us to compare ourselves to our neighbors. Then we go, oh, they have all this. Why am I in such a state? This is what causes our own self-loathing. Now, if possible, of course, it's good to be the richest person on your street, but this is often not under your control. It is even better if you are able to control yourself and sort of stop yourself from comparing yourself to others, because you can always, go look at other things, go look at, what car they have. And then you start looking up how much it costs. You kind of observe all the, fancy things they like to show off. So whenever you get caught yourself in such a situation where you're looking up the prices of things, maybe you can buy it as well. It's always good to go, okay, realize that you're in the act of doing it, because, even I am guilty of doing that. Know that you're in the act of doing it and just stop yourself. Just go, you know what? No, I don't even want to know. So, forcing yourself to be oblivious to it, it's one way to get around comparing yourself to your neighbors. Another aspect is also put yourself in perspective here. Living in a first world country, it has its luxuries already. So there, technically you should have no reason to be unhappy at all because you're so much further better off than people in poorer countries. There are people out there that are struggling to meet even the basic needs of food, shelter, and warmth. So how do you do this to really bring it home? Well, you can just watch YouTube videos of poorer countries, or you can even go and visit those countries yourself just to see what it's like. And then when you come back, you're gonna go, wow, you put yourself in that perspective. I know this is kind of weird because you're actually going to places, less fortunate places, just to make yourself feel better. I know this is a terrible way to go, but it's also important to do that. Finally, I think the greatest challenge of all is to be able to have control of your mind. I mean, really, really have control of it so that you can yourself just think yourself into a happier mood. So to prove that I'm not a master of this, these days I absolutely need a cellular phone service. This is not part of the absolute needs of your body. So if somehow in the future, maybe I can do away with it, maybe for a month, then it would sort of be like practicing the way I view my perspective. Thanks for watching this video. I know this video got a little bit more philosophical than usual, but I feel like this is a basis of fighting consumerism. Don't forget to give me a like on this video, push that subscribe button, and ring that bell icon. Thanks for watching.